what if I told you that the world you're looking at right now isn't real? Not in the way you think it is anyway. Today, we're diving into a really wild idea from cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman. He says that evolution has actually hidden the true nature of reality from us, and for a very good reason.
Okay, so here's the core idea. Hoffman says it's like we're all born wearing a VR headset that we can never ever take off. The chair you're sitting on, the screen you're looking at, your own hands. He argues that's all just the user interface. It's a simplified, graphical version of what's really out there. And the true world, well, that's something else entirely, humming away behind the scenes. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you're playing Grand Theft Auto. As a character in the game, your reality is all about streets, cars, and buildings, right? But what's the actual reality? It's a supercomputer, a bunch of circuits and voltages and code that looks absolutely nothing like a steering wheel. Hoffman's big claim is that we're in the exact same boat. We're interacting with the game, not the supercomputer.
So, Section 1, your senses are lying. This naturally leads to a huge question, doesn't it? Why? Why would evolution go to all the trouble of tricking us? Why wouldn't it just show us the truth? Well, it turns out there's a fantastic reason for it.
You see, here's the thing we have to remember about Darwin's theory. Evolution by natural selection doesn't give a single care about showing us objective truth. It has one job, and one job only, to keep you alive long enough to reproduce. Your senses weren't designed to be a perfect scientific instrument for seeing reality. Nope, they're a survival toolkit, plain and simple.
And why is that? It really just comes down to cost. Trying to see objective reality, in all of its insane, mind-bending complexity, would be exhausting. It would take way too much time and burn a ton of calories. And evolution, well, it's kind of lazy. It will always pick the cheap and dirty hack that works over some expensive, perfect solution. All right, Section 2, evolution's survival game. And this isn't just a theory, you know? We can actually see this in action. Nature is just full of creatures that thrive precisely because they get reality completely wrong.
Okay, check out this amazing example, the Australian jewel beetle. So the male beetle flies around, and he's got a really simple rule for finding a mate. Look for something that's dimpled, glossy, and brown. The problem? Discarded beer bottles just so happen to be dimpled, glossy, and brown. And what happens is the males will literally try to mate with the beer bottles, completely ignoring the actual female beetles nearby. It sounds crazy, but that simple hack worked for millions of years. He doesn't need to know reality, he just needs a shortcut that gets the job done.
And if you think that's just a fluke, Hoffman actually put this to the test. He ran thousands of computer simulations, putting organisms that see the truth up against organisms that just see a simple interface. The results were pretty shocking. The creatures programmed to see reality as it truly is, they went extinct. Every single time. They were just too slow, spending all their energy processing the truth instead of just, surviving.
So now for Section 3, space-time is an illusion. This is where the idea gets really, really big, because the headset, the illusion, isn't just about the objects we see. It might be the very fabric of space and time itself. To wrap your head around this, let me ask you a question. If you could just keep zooming in and zooming in and zooming in on space, how small could you go before it all just breaks?
Well, scientists have a number for that. It's called the Planck length. It is a number so ridiculously small, it almost has no meaning. And at that scale, our best theories of the universe, from Einstein to quantum mechanics, they just completely fall apart. The very idea of space and time as we know it, it stops making sense. It's like you finally zoomed in so far you can see the individual pixels of the simulation.
So what does this tell us? It suggests that space-time can't be fundamental. It has a resolution limit. Hoffman says it's just the 3D desktop of our particular headset. It's the operating system we use to see and move around, but it's not the deep reality itself.
On to Section 4. Consciousness is the creator. So if the entire physical world, all of it, is just the interface on our headset, what's actually real? What's behind the headset? Well, Hoffman's answer completely flips our normal understanding of everything upside down. For pretty much all of modern science, we've assumed that the brain, this 3-pound lump of physical matter, creates consciousness. But Hoffman's view? It's the exact opposite. He says consciousness itself is fundamental. Consciousness came first. So the brain doesn't create you. You, your consciousness, creates the experience of a brain as a handy icon to interact with your own thoughts. And the implication here is just
Absolutely profound. It means you're not some little character, some avatar getting pushed around by the rules of the game. You're the programmer. You're the one who designed the whole experience in the first place. You are the inventor of this whole thing.
So finally, Section 5, what this means for you. This is more than just a fun, philosophical game. If any of this is even close to being true, it changes everything. How we see ourselves, how we treat each other, and what we think is possible.
From this point of view, a lot of human suffering comes from a simple case of mistaken identity. We forget that we're the creator of the game, and we start to believe we are the avatar, this fragile, limited body. And when we do that, we feel small and separate and scared. And that feeling is the root of ego, of competition, and so much conflict.
But this also leads to a really beautiful way of looking at the world. If we are all expressions of one underlying consciousness, then empathy isn't some moral chore. It's just recognition. The reason to love your neighbor as yourself is because on the deepest level possible, your neighbor is yourself. They're the same creator, just looking out through a different headset.
And just think about the possibilities. I mean, they're staggering. If we could actually learn to manipulate the code of our own headset, you wouldn't need a rocket to go to Mars. You could just edit your user interface. The kinds of technologies that could come from this understanding would make everything we've built so far look like firecrackers.
So I want to leave you with this final, massive question. If this whole life experience, the joy, the pain, the beauty, the struggle, is a headset that you yourself created, then who or what are you when you finally take it off? What's left when the game is over? That's the ultimate mystery, isn't it?